So I'm going to make my first clip on a trail. I do all my blog posts on all the trails I go on, but I don't normally do a video. So I wanted to start doing videos on the planning all the way through what I take, and eventually with the trail time lapse, so people can start deciding whether or not it's a trail they want to do and what kind of things I take based on the time of year and why. So we are going to be doing a 14-mile hike tomorrow, January 7th. Yes. Through Harpers Ferry, Maryland Heights, Loudoun Heights. I did not plan this trail, so I'm not going to have a video of you showing you the maps that I used to plan the trail. But I did want to point out that I do have the map for that area, because even if I don't plan a trail, I think it's really important that you carry a map with you, or so you can always orient where you're at. This is a Patsy map, Potomac area, Potomac Appalachian Trail Club, sorry. Often referred to as Patsy. That I like their maps a lot. So this is map 7. And this is part of the section we'll be doing, which is going to be up in Harpers Ferry, Loudoun Heights. And again, I'm not going to make this really detailed that you can see into it, but there is a decent amount of elevation on this hike. And it's supposed to be really cold. There's a chance of snow in some of the areas, but it says in that area there's not going to be. But the way the mountains work, you should prepare for snow just the same. And it looks like it's going to be about 20 degrees when we start, and it's not supposed to get above 25. So that all takes into consideration what we're taking and where we're going. So things I'm going to take with me just in my pack, so I have them. I always have a first aid kit with me. I take that everywhere I go. I also have an allergy that requires an EpiPen, so I always make sure I have my EpiPen. I am going to take a headlamp just because it gets darker earlier, and even though we're starting really early, it is 14 miles. This is a particularly not rural area. There's a lot of people around, and it's near a lot of towns and touristy areas, so there's usually a lot of people out there. So I'm not terribly worried. I am also going to be using a camel pack. I will say this, as it gets colder, especially below freezing, a camel pack is not always the best idea. They can freeze. The tube is going to freeze. For me, if it was less than 20, I would probably only bring bottles, and it's the wide mouth bottle that you carry upside down, something that's not going to freeze, so that the lip of the bottle doesn't freeze. My pack has the Camelback, as most of them do. The bladder is going to be right next to my back. I know there's a lot of elevation, so it's going to be kept mostly warm. The biggest problem is going to be in the tube. If your tube freezes, or it'll freeze in the mouthpiece. So I do have an insulation tube that I'll put over it to keep the water in the tube from freezing. And then every time I use it and take a drink out of it, I then also blow the water back out and into the bladder so that it doesn't stay in the tube. And I try to make sure that the mouthpiece is not going to freeze. It has this cap on it, but that's the other concern. So those are the concerns with weather. My dog's got something to say. So those are our weather concerns. I'm going to wait for my dog to stop barking and come back and talk to you about what I'm actually going to wear on the hike, because that is also very important. So most people would edit this and start over, but not me, because I'm real. And my dogs are a pain in the butt, and that's just the way it is. And it cut me off before I get to my favorite part about hiking, is I'm taking the food. And I'm sure that I'm supposed to tell you about macronutrients and hydration and making sure that you stay with plenty of carbs and blah, 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 but I don't even think about that stuff half the time. I make sure I have something sugary because I like something sugary. And I make sure that I have plenty of food, more than I'm ever going to need. And when it's hot, I fill up my handy-dandy thermos. It's good for chili, good for rice. I think I'm putting coconut jasmine rice in it. I'll heat it up in the morning, throw it in here, and I've used this down to like 20 degrees, and 7 hours later, it's still hot. So that's what I'm eating tomorrow. And my protein shake. My dried strawberries, and anything else I can find to throw in my pack that I can easily snack on. So, it's winter. So as far as wearing, these go in my pack. These are microspikes for if it gets slippery or snowy in any way. These are really good to have, and you just never know. Even if you've not had any precipitation near you or any up in the mountains, you just never know what you're going to hit. And these are extremely convenient. These are Catahoula brand, but there's a couple of different brands or types of microspikes. I really like these, and this time of year I'll throw them in my pack and they'll just always stay in my pack, so I have them no matter what. I'm bringing a pair of heavy gloves. I carry another pair of lighter gloves that when I get warm I'll put on, but they're not, they just kind of get against the wind. They're not really helpful with keeping warm. These keep my fingers nice and toasty, so I'll put these in a bag. I'll wear the thinner ones and then throw these in. And then I also bring a pair of mittens because your fingers will stay warmer in mittens than they do in gloves. So I like to throw these in the bottom for, like, when I stop for lunch, I'll put these on after until my fingers get warm back up, because when you stop moving, it's the first thing on me that gets cold. I have a hat, always. 2 pairs of socks, a liner and a regular pair of socks is enough for me. I've got my handy dandy put it over your ears headband. I got this one in a Cairn box, and I love my Cairn subscription. They send me neat gear, and this one has a little hole in the back for your ponytail. So, gotta love that. I always take 2 buffs this time of year. I love buffs. I wear mine all the time. I like to keep the one around my neck. I'll keep the other one nearby. In the winter, it's good to have 2 because you can throw one over your head. You can throw it this way over your face if it gets windy. It's also really great for wiping your snot on, because you will snot, especially in the winter. So mine's my left glove and my buff. That's what they're used for. That's just the way that is. So I have 2 of those. I will be wearing a base layer in silk. You don't want to wear cotton. That's very important. It's important all the time, but it's really important in the winter, because if you wear cotton, you're going to sweat, and the cotton's going to hold on to it, and as soon as you stop moving, you're going to get cold, and it's going to freeze or just bring your body temperature down really quickly. Cotton is really bad for you, not just for your feet, but even on your body. So women, make sure your sports bra is not cotton. I have gone out before and just not even paid attention, and it wasn't even that cold, and I was freezing because my bra was mostly cotton. So pay attention to that. So I'll have a silk base layer. Silk, I have been wearing base layers for years, and this last year I just finally gave up and got silk. I don't know why. I just figured it couldn't be that much of a difference. It really is. It's amazing. It's very lightweight, and it's probably the warmest thing. I now carry a base layer of silk in my backpack when I go backpacking, regardless of, unless it's the dead of summer, in case I get cold at night. So I'll wear a base layer. I'll have a long sleeve shirt. Then I'll have a good jacket. This is a good shell jacket. It's very warm. It's got a hood. It's, I don't remember what brand this is. Isn't that terrible? But I'm less worried about the brand and the fact that I just absolutely adore it. I got it on clearance, I think probably at REI, if I know me. There's always a pair of gloves in this jacket. This is where I keep my light pair of gloves. And then I will put in my pack anything I'm not wearing. I'm also wearing a pair of pants. Because there's a possibility of snow, I'm wearing a pair of pants that have a lot of waterproofing to them. These actually, I could use these easily if I was snowboarding. That's funny, I said that like I snowboard. I don't snowboard. I would snowfall. But if I did, I would stay dry. So I'll be taking those with me as well. And then I'll take one lightweight, this is a down coat that is extremely warm. Most of this will go into my pack, and I'll remove and add layers quickly throughout the day, depending on how hot we get, where we're going, and what we're doing as far as elevation. I believe there's some significant elevation, but I really haven't paid attention, which is terrible because I didn't plan this hike. You really should know. So it'll be interesting when you see the final product. So that's it. Lots of layers. That's the important note. Lots of layers. No cotton. If you're gonna be out in less than 20-degree weather, don't depend on a camel pack. Even at 20 degrees, it's a little iffy. Know where you're going, how long you're gonna be out there, and how close you are to water. And if you're gonna use a camel pack, make sure you're blowing the water back out of the tube. That's very important. And it makes you look hilarious while you're hiking and already breathing heavy and try to blow the water back in. That's not as easy as it sounds. Winter hiking, I love, and I don't even care about the brand. It's not important, except for that I love this thing. I think it's just standard thermos. I think my mom got it from Walmart for really cheap for me for Christmas, and we now all have one. She got it last year, 2 years ago now. it keeps food warm for a really long time. And you would be surprised how much a warm lunch when you're out in cold, how much that means. So we're going to get up, we're going to get dressed. It's going to be 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, 20 degrees, possible snow, 14 miles, which right now my body's going, this is a bad idea. Why am I doing this? No dogs are coming because of the weather, and the one has not been feeling well. So we will see you back here throughout the hike. I'll take some clips and put those out soon. I hope to get a GoPro so we can time lapse the whole thing. So, yay, hiking in the winter. High five. So just finished up the just over 14 miles. It was really stinking cold, and the wind was really stinking cold. And really the only thing that I had from this hike was there were a couple of people who didn't have microspikes, and that was miserable for them. So if you're going out in the winter, you should have them because it was pretty snowy and icy. And also I was not thinking, and even though I blew the water back into my bladder and my camel pack, I forgot to turn the little knob off, so there was a little drip of water going in that froze in my mouthpiece. But if that ever happens to you, if you run the mouthpiece down, make sure it's closed, down into your clothes. So I just ran it down into my shirt, and then that thaws it out while you're walking. So that's what I did, but it was cold and I'm tired. And I'm gonna get up and do it again tomorrow when it's supposed to be colder, because that sounds like fun.